Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. I garden in Atlanta. That's a zone 7B8A. On my channel, you will find tips, tricks, videos to make gardening easier so that anyone can have a green thumb. This space that you see behind me is an absolute cluster, you know what? And we're redoing this space. I haven't decided on a design, but while we're deciding on a design, what I do know is that those shrubs in here have to go. Let me show you. The shrub that I'm moving today is actually a super versatile shrub. It's called Euonymus emerald gaiety. It's also known as winter creeper. It is a low-growing, creeping shrub. It's evergreen, and you can plant it anywhere from full sun to full shade. Luckily for me, now is the best time of year to move shrubs. Fall is another great time. Basically, when your temperatures are moderate and you're seeing kind of rain in the forecast, that has God watering the plants for you instead of you having to go there and actively water. So it makes it really easy. So I figured, why not take this opportunity to go ahead and move the shrubs? I'll film while I'm doing it and tell you some key pointers so that if you have some shrub that you want to move, you're not shy about it. You know exactly what to do and you're able to dig up those shrubs and move them with confidence. I moved these loropetalums out of that same bed last week and created this new bed. I put together a little short all about sheet mulching. It is an excellent method to use if you're going to be moving shrubs to create a new bed. I'll figure out a way to link it so that if you are moving your existing shrubs into a new bed and creating a new space, you can use this method to make it easy on yourself. Okay, enough is enough. Let's get into it. Let's move this shrub. I am going to be moving the shrubs one at a time. I know about where I want to put them, but I'm going to be digging them up one at a time, kind of whenever I have a break. So I think this shrub took me about 30 minutes in total to move it. And that is because this area has landscape fabric. Landscape fabric was something that I used a lot when I first started gardening before I realized how absolutely awful it is to plant around it and how the weeds still pop through after a couple of years anyways. So I recommend staying away from landscape fabric. The goal with moving shrubs is to get as much of the root ball as you can. The roots typically are going to go out to the drip line. So if you look at a shrub from the top, the drip line is going to be an imaginary circle around the shrub from the outermost parts of the shrub. I hope that makes sense. So the goal is to start digging your shovel in basically on that imaginary line that you drew in your head or the drip line and work your way around the shrub, trying to get as much of the roots as you can in the process. So once I go around the shrub, trying to lift the roots, that's when I try to start going underneath and start kind of scooping the shrub out as much as possible. I'm not sure if scooping is the best word here, but you're just trying to go under and lift with your shovel. And the last couple roots I found, I just kind of broke them and then I was able to lift the shrub free. I'm gonna go ahead and move these shrubs up here. This area is now mostly full sun. We had a big magnolia, you can still see the stump up there, taken down. So this area is gonna get a lot of sun. And now I can plant up this hillside with fun things that are sun loving. So I'm gonna go ahead and dot in these shrubs up here. So I've got one kind of halfway up and between the hydrangea and this Japanese maple. And then there are some gardenias and more Japanese maple. So I think I'll put the second one right there, same distance, halfway between the Japanese maple and the gardenia. So it'll go right there. And then I think I have two more that I can dot in farther down. I'm here with my little shrubby friend taking a little break, and I figured it's a great time to talk about some things that you can do if you feel like maybe you didn't get all of the root ball like you tried, but you definitely cut some off on accident. So there's a couple of things you can do. So number one is adding starter fertilizer into the hole. Starter fertilizer is great to add into the planting hole when you're transplanting a shrub. Starter fertilizer encourages root growth, which will encourage your shrub to establish in its new spot. Another thing you can do is water. So after you're done digging your hole that you're going to place your shrub in, fill that entire hole with water. I'm saying drown that hole, and then it creates like a little bath for your shrub. So your shrub is going to be sitting in there, soaking up all of that moisture, and that'll help lessen any sort of kind of transplant shock that the shrub might go through. The last thing you can do is prune your shrub. You can give your shrub a small trim, and I'm not talking about a huge pruning job, less than a third of the plant. giving it a small trim. If you're worried you didn't get enough root mass, that way the smaller root mass is providing to less leaf mass, and it's balanced out that way. I was debating on editing this footage out and not showing it at all. I feel like a lot of the times the sped up content of planting makes it look so easy and like it's so much fun. And the reality is that sometimes digging that hole sucks. And this happened to be one of those times where it was absolutely brutal. I kept running into roots from that magnolia tree, or I have no idea what, and it just really sucked. And so I wanted to be transparent and leave it in, because even though it was awful, I did it. And afterwards I felt so much better. And I'm so glad that the shrub is in and it looks great in that spot. All right, shrub moved. Okay, that was definitely much more of a struggle than I thought it was going to be. I hope maybe that helped you gain the confidence of go ahead and move that shrub. If there's something that you want to move, it will be perfectly fine. Just note that it might slow down for a year or two. So typically when you plant a shrub, they say the first year they sleep, they're growing those roots. The second year they creep, there's a little bit of growth on top. And the third year is when you really see the growth. And so when you're moving shrubs, you're kind of resetting that clock. But other than that, there's really no harm in trying to move your shrubs. Just make sure that when you're moving your shrubs, you're watching the weather. You're doing it in a week with moderate weather. You're doing it in a time where there's going to be a lot of rain, so that it's more hands-off and you're able to kind of step away and let God water for you. And then you're getting enough of that root ball so that when you're moving it, it has enough root ball to sustain. Plant with starter fertilizer, water it in, and there you go. You're able to transform your own garden without going to the store.